Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is a very interesting topic. Every time a new version of Windows comes out, we hear from our clients, hey, where did they move this? Or how do I print? Or where do I find some particular feature? If you've been keeping up with Windows, Windows 10 was offered initially as a free upgrade to those folks that were running Windows 7. So if you took advantage of that, you may have gotten it free. And then most recently, Microsoft has released a very current edition called the Windows 10 Creators Edition. So I will be showing you some tips and tricks focused on that particular edition. And I'm going to show you a quick way to confirm whether or not at the beginning you do have that particular edition. So you may want to check it. It would be helpful for you maybe if you're in front of a computer and you have a Windows 10 computer. I'm going to be showing you a lot of tips and tricks. It's always helpful to see these visually. So if you're in front of a computer, you might just want to follow along and try some of these. Now, as I go through the presentation today, we do have a PowerPoint, but I'm going to try to have some demonstrations in here too. Fortunately, I won't be able to show the start menu, but I will be able to drag and drop some menus over onto the screen so you're actually able to see it as we go along. So bear with me as I move those windows around. So with that, if you have questions as you're going along, we'll cover those at the end, and we'll just go ahead and get started. Again, the topic today, Windows 10 tips and tricks. I think you'll be very surprised at some of the interesting and hidden features that Microsoft has actually built into this particular version of Windows. So here are the topics that we'd like to cover today. First, one of the common things we have is we're going to show you these tips and tricks, and it's you don't have the right version or the latest version of Windows, some of these features might not be available. So we'll confirm that. Got 10 really super quick tricks that I'd like to show you. There are a lot of shortcuts that are available in the Windows 10 Creators Edition. And then the three topics, we surveyed our help desk, and the three topics most frequently asked were, how do I show file extensions? Hey, I'm getting some kind of advertisements in my start menu. How can I get rid of that? And then as employees come and go within businesses, often it's easier to rename the computer maybe to an employee-related name or a function that computer is serving in your business, so that if you browse it or access it across the network, it's easier to know what it's doing, what its role is. So these are the topics we'll cover. So first thing I'd just like to jump into, and if you're in front of your Windows 10 computer, you can try this as we're going. First thing is just to make sure that you're running the Windows 10 Creators Edition. If not, this is a free update for Windows 10, so after this, you'd be able to go and get this particular update. So if you're in front of your computer, I will be referencing a lot the Windows key. That's the little key that should be on your keyboard that looks like the little Microsoft symbol. So to check your version of Windows, if you just hold down and tap the X, that will bring up the menu. And from within that menu, you will be able to bring up the System menu. And I'm just going to drag this over here. System menu will look something like this. It'll have all these different options. If you just click on About there at the bottom, you'll be able to clearly see which particular version of Windows that you're running. So I have highlighted right there in the very center, 1703. 1703 is the latest Creators Edition. So if you find that you don't have this particular version, make note of that. And you'll just need to do a Windows. You can actually just do a very quick Google search on Creators Edition. It's just a free update available for your computer. Okay, let's go ahead and go down and continue on. We want to talk first about the 10 kind of very fast to implement tips and tricks in Windows. So the first one I'd like to talk about is if you've ever found, I have, for example, on my desktop, I have multiple screens. And sometimes you have too many screens. And what you're looking to do is get some real estate space back. So I'm not going to actually do this, but I'm just going to drag a window over here. A lot of people don't realize that if you have multiple windows open, you can go to the one window you want to keep open. Let's say this one right here. I'm not going to do this, but if I just held this with my left mouse button and shake it back and forth, that will actually cause all other windows on your screen to minimize with the exception of the window that we're talking about. So if you're looking for a very quick way, clean up your desktop, get a lot of real estate, that's a good, quick, fast way to do it. Moving on to our second tip and trick. If you have a lot of files, a lot of times folks are wondering details about the file. So I'm just opening here, this is a File Explorer menu. So if you actually hold your Alt key and you come to any particular file and you double click on it, it will actually pop up this menu, which kind of gives you the properties of that particular file. This gives you different information like how big the file is, when it was created, if it's stored on a network share, who has the rights to access it. It can also give you details about the original person that created it and all kinds of information like that. Again, all you have to do, hold down the Alt key, double click on the file name, and it will pop up and give you those details. So again, it's a very quick way to find out the background of a file. Pin the recycle bin to your start menu. Now, if you're like me, you have a lot of icons or shortcuts on your desktop. Sometimes it is a little bit of a challenge to find your trash can. Maybe you accidentally deleted something and you want to go and recover it. Maybe you want to go to your trash can and empty it. So this is a very quick, easy thing to do. If you come and you right click on the recycle bin on your desktop and you click Pin to Start menu, now in the future, when you click on the Windows key and open your Start menu, you will actually see the trash bin right there available. So what that would allow you to do is simply by clicking the Start menu, you'd be able to access your trash can. So it's a simple one-click setting, and you can get your trash can accessible in a couple different locations. Okay, this is an interesting little topic, and I'm just going to try to drag this over here. So what we're really talking about here is if you have multiple windows open, so for example, if I have multiple windows open on my screen, in general, one of them is going to be selected, right? So generally, the one that's selected is the one that is active. But sometimes you have multiple windows open and you want to reference, or let's say, for example, I want to keep this window on the left. Now, you notice I shook it and it minimized all my other screens there. Let me bring this back up. All right. So there was a demo of that. Basically here, let me bring back my second window. Okay, so I've got my two windows back. This one is selected. Now this one, I can come over here and scroll. Now notice it's not selected. So all I'm doing is I'm scrolling up and down with my mouse button. So this would allow me, for example, to have one window that I'm working in, have other windows open that are referenced. And without clicking on the window, I can just move my mouse over that window. If I scroll up and down, I can actually move up and down in a window that I'm actually that is not in primary focus. So I find that is useful when I have a lot of windows and a lot of information. I'm creating information, let's say in the window that I see right here, but I want to review details from others. So if you don't have this available, all you have to do is go into your settings menu. To get to your settings menu, you can hit the Windows I. So if you hit Windows I, that'll bring up your settings menu. You can go to the home menu in there. You can go to devices, select mouse and touchpad. And then if you scroll down, you'll find a little area down there where you can select this scroll interactive windows when I hover. If you have this particular feature right here set, that will allow you to have multiple windows open and scroll within them. Again, settings, Windows I, devices, mouse, and touchpad, and then go down to the bottom, make sure that's selected, turned on, scroll interactive window when I hover. Okay, here's another very interesting thing, and I wanted to demo this to you directly, but I can't show you directly my start menu. But if you remember the old version of Windows, it used to allow you to have icons within folders. So what I'm able to do now is, you'll notice here, this is a sample of what it looks like. Let's say, for example, this is a folder and this is a folder. I can actually click this folder here with my left mouse button, drag it up on top of this folder, and it will essentially put multiple icons in one folder. So you'll see here is a folder that has Excel, it has OneNote, Word, and PowerPoint. And if you click on this folder, it would actually expand. So the value here is you don't have a lot of real estate in your start menu. So if you wanted to get all your Office apps in one location, you could basically bring up your Office apps, drag them over here. That's going to create a large icon, drag them on top of each other, and that's going to give you this nested folder so that in a very small amount of space, you can access all your files. Very helpful tip, can save you a lot of time. Okay, now this is something that I think is very interesting. I mean, we hear all the time, security, security, security. I know here at SSE, people play jokes and pranks on each other. If someone gets up, walks away from their PC, leaves it unlocked, somebody might come over and do something. So that's all to encourage a high level of security. But basically speaking, what this would allow you to do is if you follow these particular steps, if you have a computer that has built-in Bluetooth, so that's going to be a requirement, most computers do nowadays, and you happen to have a phone, iPhone or Android, and that Android, of course, is going to have Bluetooth built in, what you can do is basically pair your Bluetooth phone to your computer, and basically you can just go to the Start menu and type the word Bluetooth, and that will actually bring up the Bluetooth menu. If you go down to the bottom of the Bluetooth, so if you go into the Bluetooth menu, that's going to bring up something that looks like this, and down near the bottom, all of your paired devices. So you would be able to go through and add a paired device. In this case, I'm adding my iPhone. And now once that iPhone is there, you have the ability to come in and go through and do some other settings in your system. So for example, you could do Windows I to bring up this settings menu. And then you're going to go down and you're going to take a look into the accounts menu right here. And once you're in accounts menu, you want to click sign in options. And then under sign in options down below, you'll notice there's this little area in here called dynamic lock. So it says Windows can use devices that are paired to your PC to know when you're away. And I just click this little box to say allow Windows to detect when you're away and automatically lock this device. So what that essentially means is if I get up and walk away from my computer, I don't need to worry about securing it. It's going to auto-lock itself after a brief amount of time. I find this to be one of the most helpful and useful new features where they're really thinking outside of the box for the end user. Okay, one-stop troubleshooting. How often do you have some kind of a problem or an issue with your computer and you're trying to figure out, hey, what can I do to fix it? Well, again, Windows I to bring up this troubleshooting screen. And then down here at the bottom, you'll notice that you have Update and Security. So I can click Update and Security. And then there's an option right here in the middle called Troubleshoot. So I can click Troubleshoot, and this is going to give you the very common issues that most people have problems with. So if you're having problems connecting to the network, you could run this wizard. If you're problems with your keyboard and your mouse is just working, you could run this wizard. Other hardware devices, Bluetooth issues, computer is crashing, if you're having problems with compatibility, recording, searching and indexing, almost anything that you have an issue with, if it's not working correctly, this is a great quick way to jump in here and look at and see if your system can repair itself. So this is really a wizard-driven system, and it can run through and help you troubleshoot. Automated Windows cleanup. Now, if you remember, the old Windows had a disk cleanup feature. New Windows also has that particular feature. So in general, if you bring up your settings menu, again, Windows I, and then you're going to go into your system tray, and then you're going to look down in the middle and find your storage, and then you're going to look for the storage sense, which is going to be right here. Click on how do we free up disk space, and then what you can do is just set these settings where you can come in and say, hey, I want you to clean up temporary files on apps in my system, and I want to, let's say, for example, clean up my recycle bin. I mean, how often do we drag and drop things into our recycle bin and then we forget to empty it? Well, this, you can set it up and it'll automatically clean that up for you. This is also a good way to come in and click Clean Up Now, and it'll run the little wizard. Mine is obviously already cleaned up, so there's not any more to get out of there. It's a good, quick way to keep your system clean. Okay, this is another interesting thing. Okay, if you're like most people, here's your Windows Start menu, but you have opened the Start menu and you pinned down here to the bar the applications that you use most. Well, let's say, for example, that you have, let's say, this open, this open, this open. These are different applications you have open. You can hold down your Windows key and type 1, the number 1, and it's going to bring up your Outlook. You can hold down the Windows key and type 6, and it's going to bring up this particular item. So if you have multiple windows open, you have them all pinned, this is a very fast, easy, and quick way to jump from one window to the next. Helpful tip. Privacy options. Again, this is a feature in Settings, Windows I. If you go to Windows I, you can go down to the Privacy section, open that up. You'll have several different options in there. This first one really is the ID, where they're really tracking you across the internet. So if you're ever wondering, you know, you've searched on something and the next 10 times you're surfing the internet, it suddenly remembers that particular product that you looked at a couple weeks ago. Often that is related to this little setting where it's remembering and keeping an association with that advertisement to you in particular. So if you're looking to lose that, you can come in here and turn this off. Okay, so those are the quick items we wanted to go through in the beginning. Now I'd like to just show you a few Windows 10 specific Creators Update shortcuts that are pretty beneficial. These are really broken into several categories. First would be desktop, basically items and shortcuts that are related to your desktop, items and shortcuts that are related to applications such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And then here's kind of a new theme that a lot of people are unaware of, but virtual desktop. Again, this is the case if you've seen, you know, a lot of folks sitting down at their desktop having multiple windows open. I have 4 monitors here. I can hit some keys and create a completely new blank virtual desktop, and I can have multiple versions of those. So they're just interesting things that we can go along. So first of all, everybody knows so these are the ones, this is kind of a summary of the ones that are very helpful. If you're in front of your computer, you can try to do this. And let me see, and if I can show some of these, I will. But your Windows key, basically you just hit your Windows key, and there it did pop up on that particular side. So if we hit the Windows key and it pops up, you can see all the menu options there. If I see Windows A, that's going to bring up my action configuration screen. So this is really kind of your one-stop shop for all your settings here. So you can see Windows A kind of brings that up, and it is a toggle. I'm not going to hit Windows D to hide or show applications. If you need a very quick way to show Explorer, you can do Windows E, and that's going to bring up your Explorer window that looks just like this. So I often keep this pinned down to my taskbar, but this is a much faster, quicker way to do it. We've been talking the whole time Windows I. Windows I, again, is the one that brings you all the settings. So if you want to memorize one in particular, remember Windows I. It'll save you a lot of time. Now, a lot of folks, if you're using a Surface or you're using a laptop and you're out and you're connecting to wireless displays, it's helpful to know that there is a Windows K menu, and that Windows K, if you select that, that will bring up all the wireless display devices that are nearby to allow you to very easily select and connect to those particular devices. I am not going to do the next particular one and lock my screen, but if you're looking for a quick way to walk away from your computer, the Windows L is good for that. Also not going to do this one, but Windows M, minimize all open windows. So if you were trying to basically get a clean desktop in your current system, Windows M will do that for you. If you happen to have a tablet like a Surface and you're rotating it, let's say, for example, horizontally or vertically, and you keep having it jump around or auto realign, Windows O will do that for you. Another one that is kind of helpful is Windows P. This is good when you're connecting to an external display or an adapter that may be connected as opposed to some of these other ones. Windows R will launch the Run tool, as you see popped up down here. So if you're looking just to run an application, you know, before we were looking at version, I can type WINVER, and that's going to pop up my Windows version. But if you know the actual command, that's a fast, quick way to do that. Most people know some of these various other ones that are down here. Windows X brings up that little secret menu that you see right here. This menu is kind of reminiscent of the old version of Windows. You'll see that it has a lot of the key things like disk management, network connection, computer management, some of the old things that you used to use in computers. Another one, Windows Print Screen. You're just looking to take a quick screenshot, holding down the Windows key, hitting the print screen button will take a screenshot and save it to your image folder. So if you're looking for a quick way, use this quite a bit to, you know, take a lot of the snapshots that are put into this particular presentation. And if you have screens that are too large or too small, just remember you can always hit the Windows button and the plus or minus to magnify or reduce. And then, of course, Windows and spacebar to switch across available languages and inputs. So again, a lot of key options there. Going further now, keep in mind that these that we just looked at were related to the desktop. Now going over to the next one, these are related to applications. So I don't know if you've ever had the case where you have two applications open and you're trying to, you know, figure out, hey, what is an easy, quick way to kind of get these lined up? Well, if I click on this left one and I click Windows, left arrow, you'll see that that basically brings that up in a perfect window for me. Or I could go Windows, right arrow, and what we're essentially getting is getting this window to snap to the right or left. So I could actually do this with multiple applications, and this is very good if you have a limited number of monitors. It's a nice, quick, easy way to be able to copy from one to the other. Now, there's some other things in here that, in addition to the left and right, if you do Windows up arrow, it's going to maximize. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say Windows up, and you see that takes it to full screen. I can go to Windows down, and it takes it back. So, you know, a lot of times, historically, we've been minimizing and maximizing using these buttons up here, but that's really a much faster way to do it. I'm not going to do this one, but Windows Shift up arrow, maximize the active window. Windows Shift down arrow restores or minimizes the active window. Windows Home minimizes all inactive windows. You can kind of read through these. Now, this is an interesting one here. I have several screens open. So if I hold Windows, let me see here. If I go to my Windows, Shift left arrow, I can actually move this across. This is basically, I'm using Windows Shift left and right arrow to basically move this one window across all of my monitors. So it's a very quick way to do that. Windows Shift left, Windows Shift right. Alt space launches the title bar of the current menu with options. And then F11 is a way to enable or disable full screen in the active window. So again, these are very helpful. I think the top two are the ones that I use the most, Windows left and Windows right arrow. Okay, here's some other ones that are very interesting. I want to caution you, do not do this. Do not jump into this right away. Otherwise, you'll say, oh my gosh, what happened, okay? So if you just remember that before you do this, remember 1 and 2, okay? So if you do Windows Control D, that's going to open a brand new desktop for you. And then if you go hold Windows and hit Control left arrow, that's going to take you to the previous desktop. So you could, for example, hit Windows Control D and open a new virtual desktop. Hit Windows Control D again and open another virtual desktop. Then you could use Windows Control left arrow to go to the first one, Windows Control right arrow to go to the second one, and then any one that you're in, you can do Windows Control F4 and close it. So these are like having multiple sets of virtual screens. So if you're finding that you have one or two monitors and you're just running out of real estate, virtual desktop is really a way to switch across completely separate sets of screens, and is very helpful, and it can save you a lot of time. All right, let's talk about the top 3 things that we're getting asked at our help desk. How to always show file extensions in Explorer. This is a very easy thing. First thing you want to do is open your control panel. Once you're in control panel, you're going to get a screen that looks like this. If it doesn't look like this right here, you can click this little drop down up here, change it to category, and it will look like this. And what you want to do is you want to select where it says appearance and personalization. And then you want to go down and you want to locate on your screen where it says File Explorer Options, and there's a little link there called Show Hidden Files and Folders. If you click that, that's going to open a little File Explorer option. And if you'll notice right down here, there's a little toggle that you can say hide or not my file extensions. Now, the result of this is if I am hiding file extensions, I'm just going to see Windows 10 Creators Edition presentation, and if I'm hiding extensions, I'm not going to see the PPT. If I'm not hiding extensions, I will see the actual extension PPT, or I'll see whether it's a doc file or XLS. Now, where this is particularly valuable is when you get emailed files, you don't want to accidentally open an executable. So it would be my recommendation to always unhide these files. So unselect this so that you're able to see if someone sends something to you that says blah, 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 Word document. If you're hiding extensions, you might not see that, hey, that's an exe file. So this is a good quick way to see that very easily and clearly. Okay, how to get rid of ads in your start menu. You may not realize that Microsoft can put advertisements in your start menu. So go to your settings menu. Remember, that's Windows I. And then you can drop down and select personalization. And then you want to go down and select start. And then you want to scroll down to this little area down here that says occasionally show suggestions in start, and you want to turn that off. And suggestions being ads, with that, you can easily stop that. And then finally, how to change the name of your computer. This is very easy to do. All you do is you go into your system. Again, you can remember Windows I. You can go in and go to the system. You can click About, and then you can go down and you'll notice this will be the current name of your computer. You can click Rename this PC, and that is a very quick way to change it to a different role or a different person's name. So that really completes the topics for today. So, I would suggest email is always a good first way. Just send me a quick email. Then we can arrange a time to have a brief conference or a discussion to talk about anything that's on your mind.